Hi, thanks for joining me for the weekly general reading. My name is Cassie and I'm the reader behind MomentsAre. So in the weekly general reading, we post them on Mondays and we're looking at the next 7 days ahead, okay? So we're looking at any kind of themes, motifs, look what to expect, what to kind of embrace and what to kind of maybe avoid and all of that kind of stuff. Just kind of get you prepared for your week. And if you're just joining me, I am so happy to have you here. And if you guys are subscribers, returning viewers, it's really great to see you again. And just love you guys so much. So that said, anything you need to know about me is in the description. Don't want to waste your time with that. There is something new that I'm offering though, and that's email readings. And I have a same day email reading that you might be interested in. But again, I don't want to waste your time. We're going to be doing this reading now, okay? That said, I'm going to name the piles, okay? Pick whichever pile you feel most drawn to, and we'll go from there. Alrighty, so pile number 1 is this amethyst, amethyst cluster. Pile number 2 is this really pretty. It's like got an aura. I think some people call these angel auras. It's a real pretty rose quartz heart. We have a sunstone point for the 3rd pile. For the 4th pile, we have a desert rose. For pile number 5, we have the quartz crystal point. And for pile 6, we have a lavender tea light candle. All right, so if you have not chosen your pile, go ahead and pause the video now. That way you can take time to think about which pile you're going to choose. And for those of you who know which pile, we're going to go ahead and start with the readings. Hi, those of you who picked the amethyst cluster, here's your reading. All right, so we have recognition, reward. We've got the 8 of Wands. We have the 7 of Pentacles. I'm going to put this over here. Okay, we've got the 7 of Pentacles and we have the 5 of Cups. So it looks like it could be a very difficult week for you. Let's see what the rest of them say. Okay, we have the box. Okay, a diamond. Okay, so this is kind of like a double thing. And with this going on, it's almost like a triple thing here. So the box represents receiving some kind of gift, right? The diamond represents receiving a gift, but it's more of a more luxurious gift, okay? And then when we've got recognition and reward, we've got you receiving something, okay? So we've got 3 things here that are indicating that you're going to be receiving something. So that's kind of interesting. We also have the scythe and the moon, and then we have sincere relationships. Okay. All right, so we've got a little bit of everything this week. Okay. Sometimes, when I do these readings, I'll be touching the cards and I'll get impressions. And this one has a really strange, it's a unique interpretation for this pile. So I think it's kind of interesting. I just wanted to mention that, yes, I know how to read cards traditionally. I'm an intuitive reader, so you have to kind of bear with me on that. I actually want to start with this sincere relationship. This is a really important card. We're talking about how there's going to be someone or maybe more people who are going to really step up this week for you and show you that they really care about you a lot. It's not letting me know if this is in a romantic area or if it's just a friendship or maybe even a family member, but it is showing that you're going to be touched by this, okay? So it's going to be really nice to feel that loving, caring energy coming towards you. Really enjoy that, and also understand that some people who will identify yourselves as your true friends are really going to come forward this week, okay? So if you're wondering, who can I trust and all of that kind of stuff, just anybody who gives you a lot of warmth, okay? This could even be a coworker or somebody at school, maybe that you don't talk to very often or whatever. Just be on the lookout for that, because there's some kind of relationship here that's, I think, has more depth than maybe So really, really look out for that. I'm going to get to these three in just a minute. We're going to go over and jump to the the Rider-Waite Tarot here, and we're going to just kind of talk about this. So we've got some issues here in that during the day you're going to be feeling really rushed. You're not going to be feeling it's like you're going to be feeling like a combination of like nervous energy, like I gotta get this done, that kind of thing, combined with almost like a low motivation or almost a sense of boredom. It's really weird, like the kind of feeling, but I get it because it just feels like you're being tugged in two extreme directions, and it's like you just want to kind of get in that middle direction. So are you want to be in the middle of those two directions, but it's like, so with the eight of wands, we've just got like being like having to do things really quickly, thinking on your feet, that kind of stuff. But we also have a tendency to rush. Now, if you're at a point in time, I know that for a lot of universities, we're coming on to the end of a semester, at least in the States. If you don't have a whole lot of time and you've just got to throw it all together and just get it done, that can be an appropriate energy to have, okay? But for those of you who maybe that doesn't apply to you, or you're not on a deadline or something like that, understand that this kind of like really quick energy can cause you to make more mistakes. And it's also a feeling of like you might be prone towards impulsivity. You might be prone towards making quick decisions based on how you're feeling. Now, there's nothing wrong with taking care of yourself when you're feeling bad. If you're like, man, I don't feel great, and every time I buy this I feel better, then get it. But at the same time, you've got to make sure that you're using your executive functioning as well to make your decisions, so that you can make the wisest decisions. And that's just me, telling you that's just psychology. That doesn't have anything to do with intuition. But just know that you're going to be more prone to that, and knowing that can help you kind of avert a situation where you might do something impulsive and then regret it. Okay. So just kind of keep that in mind. This kind of like sense of boredom with having a duty to do, it's like you have some kind of obligation and you feel like you just really don't want to do this. Maybe you said yes to it a while ago and it's time for you to deliver, and you're like, oh my gosh. First off, think about how your follow through, what you're communicating with your follow through to other people. And it might be a situation where it's better not to do it, okay? And that's totally fine. And also think about figuring out how you might be able to get some help with it, or find a middle ground. For example, let's say you committed to seeing your friend, and your friend wants to meet up in a really busy place, and you just are kind of feeling a little under the weather, and it's totally appropriate to say, hey, I really want to see you, but let's meet up in a place that is quieter, like if you can do something like that. It just feels like there's this obligation that it's like you thought it was such a great job or you thought it was such a great idea at the time, and now it's just feeling like a chore. And so we're trying to get away from that perspective that it's a chore so that you can get it done. Or again, like I said, call in some help, like ask some people if they can help you with it, or maybe not do it, just understand that if you don't follow through with this, it might leave a certain kind of impression for the people around you. So this is a really interesting card to come up given this energy. But I feel like this week you're going to be just looking at a lot of the negatives, and it's like almost like those negatives are going to be really glaringly obvious, like what's wrong. And it's really interesting. People who are able to identify what's wrong in a situation are really, really good at solving problems. I've noticed it's just a thing that I've noticed, and there's probably a really good psychological explanation for it, but it's like almost like you're going to be hypercritical, not only of yourself, but of others as well. And you might miss some of those positive things. And let me just kind of hold this up for those of you who aren't familiar with the Five of Cups. The traditional meaning of this card is grief. And I just don't feel like that's true for this pile. I feel like what's true is that You've got someone focusing so much on all of this horrible stuff that they're missing the positive things that they still have, that kind of stuff. And, you know, when I touched it, it's like, ooh, this has to do with, you know, like self-criticism or criticism of others, or this criticism of a situation. There's certainly a lot to criticize in the world, this, you know, right now. So I can totally understand that. But just understand that at the same time, those same people that are so great at solving problems can often feel overwhelmed by negativity. And that overwhelming feeling can then start, you know, affecting you to where you've got this anxiety of like, oh, I've got to get this stuff done, but I don't really feel like doing that, and all of that kind of stuff. One thing you can do is self-care, like really take care of yourself this week. Make sure that you're getting enough sleep and all of that kind of stuff. I mean, that's kind of like what you should be doing anyway, you know, but it seems like this week's, I just feel like you can get a little overwhelmed. And sometimes when you're not feeling like doing things, it's because you're not supposed to be doing things. It's because you're supposed to be standing still. So make sure that you're finding those still moments. So totally switching things around. We've got the scythe followed by the moon here, and it's like the moon is representing for me there's some emotions there, okay, but there's also like this idea of you reaping something, you harvesting something, right, from what you do as a hobby, as a job, at school, that kind of stuff. It doesn't necessarily have to be for money, but it's just something that you really value a lot. Probably has to do with your vocation or something about how you perceive your identity, that kind of thing. And it's like you're getting something from that. You're getting something really good. And so we've got this recognition reward, which is talking about like getting really positive feedback. But along with this reward, we also have this, you know, we've got a diamond, which this is you'll be receiving or giving a precious gift. I feel like you're the one that's receiving it, okay? And then you'll receive a gift here. So, you know, going back to that idea that, you know, universities are coming to a close pretty soon and that kind of stuff as far as the semester and everything. Maybe this means that you're going to be graduating and getting a lot of graduation gifts, you know, but I'm just speaking to a very small amount of people right now. And again, you know, those of you who are watching and it's like in the middle of February or something, you know, just know that this is going up in April. But it could be any kind of gift, but it's like you're getting it because you've accomplished something, or you're getting it because people are recognizing that you have done a really good job. This actually might be coming through for those of you who have maybe a small business or something like that, that you're going to be getting a lot of sales, or you're going to be getting a lot of interest from people. And it's like you're going to be bringing in all of those blessings and all of those kinds of things. But yeah, you're being rewarded for the effort that you're putting in. So when you've got this energy right here where you're like not really feeling like doing much, and yet you're being rewarded, you are probably in a close to burnout state right now. And it's just time for you to be able to take that break, you know, just finish things up real quick and then really, really enjoy a few days this week of just doing nothing, because I really feel like that stillness is really important for you guys this week, okay? So that said, I hope you enjoyed your reading. Let me know if you did. There's several ways you can do that. You can click like, you can subscribe, you can leave a comment. You don't have to. And regardless of the cards you got, I hope you have a wonderful week. Hi, those of you who picked the beautiful heart here. Okay. Oh no, we've got heartache and loss. We've got another 3 of wands. So we've got the 3 of wands. We've got the ace of swords. Ooh, and another 3. Interesting. Another 3 of cups. All right. Okay. We have grasshopper. Okay, we've got yoke. we've got birds followed by the lilies. And we have rumination, or ruminate. Okay. Let me just read this really clear. Oh, okay, yeah. So my associations with the grasshopper is a little bit different from what this card deck says. So I just wanted to know what the card deck said. I'm going to be giving you both anyway. So yeah, let's talk about these threes. Have you ever noticed that, especially in fairy tales, and you can even look deeper into mythology, especially mythology that have to do with deities, that the number 3 is a really, it's almost like a sacred number. It's a kind of a magical number sometimes. And I just feel like this is one of those things that's like part of that whole idea of what's happened twice will happen 3 times. That's a saying. So just, I feel like the number 3 has a lot more meaning here than just, oh wow, we got 3 threes. I mean, it's interesting there. So I just wanted to mention that. I think it's really important to mention that, especially since we have 18 here, which is a multiple of 3. We've got 12 here, which is also a multiple of 3, and we have 30, which is 3 10 times. So yeah, it's obvious. I hear you guys. All right, so we've got some kind of new thing going on, new ways of thinking, okay, and new ways of communication, right? But what you have here is that we've got this kind of like these distractions here from this. I feel like this is your focus. These are the distractions. One of your distractions is that you don't want to get hurt, okay? This is talking about heartache and loss, but I feel like the feeling there that's the predominant one for this week is more about losing something, like you're worried about losing something or something changing. It's natural for things to change over time. That's just the way that they are, but things changing for the negative, I feel, is what you're worried about. And I really feel like this new way of thinking and this new way of communicating, it will take adjusting, but that doesn't mean it's going to get worse. It tends to get better. People tend to evolve, not go the other direction. I'm sure you can think of like 12 or 12 million different examples of ways that people don't do that. But I feel like for you guys, you're working to better yourselves this week. Okay. So we've got that. Okay. We also have, there's this kind of wait period and it's feeling really uncomfortable. Like, okay, I've been waiting a really long time and this isn't happening. What's going on here? In fact, I want to go ahead and ask some clarifiers about that. I don't usually do that with my general readings, but I'll ask a clarifier about that. Then we also have this kind of feeling of celebration, but I get the idea that it's like you have to put on this, you have to put on a face for the world, like you're having a lot of fun and all of that. And really inside, you're feeling a lot of anxiety. You're feeling, I actually want to say angst, that maybe you're not going to get what you've put in, or maybe that I feel like there's something going on that feels like maybe you're worried that you're not on the right path, that kind of thing. You guys got 3 threes and all these multiple of 3s. I really feel like that is letting you know everything's fine. Okay, we've got everything just kind of falling together here. This is something you've got to go through because you're changing, and it's going to be a beautiful change. Okay, I'm getting nothing but positive feelings about this. Okay, ruminate. I actually feel like this is kind of just talking about how this is going to be in your mind a lot. I mean, there's another thing that's coming through here that kind of feels like maybe holding back just in general. Okay, this could be somebody who might be afraid to express their feelings about something because they don't want to upset someone, that kind of stuff. it might be somebody who's waiting for someone else to make a move, or waiting for something to happen before they give themselves permission to keep going, or that kind of thing. Or it could be, really evaluating one's friendships and what makes one happy, that kind of thing. It feels like a struggle, though, and I don't like that it seems like you guys that pick this pile are going to struggle this week. But the struggle has a good payoff. And what it is like, if you're afraid of losing something, what you're going to lose is your peace of mind. So you are losing something. If you are waiting because you don't want to hurt somebody, you're hurting yourself because you're continuing to wait when it might be more appropriate to take action. If you are putting on a certain kind of face because you want to appear happier than you are, or you want to stay uplifted and all of that, you yourself won't become uplifted. So I really feel that we need to evaluate lining up our actions with what we want this week, for those of you guys who picked this pile, because this is showing that you do have some really solid ideas. You've got some, you almost have a call to action here, and you have this feeling that, typically the Ace of Wands is more of an inspiration, but I feel like this is almost like intellectual inspiration, or maybe an inspiration to communicate. This could even stand for something like poetry, or or writing, or having, a really important conversation with somebody. So whatever your ideas are, track them, keep a record of them, especially if you get a really good one, that for you feels good, because you're going to be really in that cerebral area. Okay. So the yolk and the grasshopper, this is just basically talking more about this kind of feeling. We've got just kind of feeling weighed down by something, it's kind of like going through the motions to get it done, but it's just this feeling of doing things without getting a whole lot of joy out of it. And I think that is what's concerning me the most about this energy, is that I want you guys to be happy. So reevaluating what's going on here can help this lift up a little bit more. And then with the grasshopper, okay, so we've got, on one hand, we've got like almost a guide here, okay, that's helping you through this. And I feel like this is representing your inner guide, like your inner idea, your inner cerebral side that's kind of guiding you right now, which can kind of make you feel out of sync, with your emotions and socializing, and and those more fiery desires and things like that. But we also have this as showing that there's some kind of like balance that needs to be struck up too. And I think that balance is more a balance between yourself and the outside world, so that you're more aligned with what you want to have happen. If you don't feel like putting on a happy face, for example, then don't do it. It's fine. Just be like, you know what, I just don't really feel like doing this, or whatever. I think about a time that I had once when we were coming back from just a really ridiculous situation, and we were getting coffee, and the lady at the coffee shop was all like, "How are you doing?" And my partner, he was like, "Oh yeah, we're doing fine." I was like, "What?" I was like, "We're not doing fine. Today's been awful." And then I was like, "Yes, we're getting coffee because it's gonna make me feel better." And she seemed to be, kind of freaked out, and I was just like, just know that this is the high point to my day so far. Hopefully it gets better, that kind of stuff. But it feels so good to just be able to have that human connection and just be like, you know what, today sucks, and be able to just own it and just be like, whatever, I'm not gonna go through, this kind of social ritual, I've just got to say it, that kind of thing. So I really feel like that's kind of another thing where we're talking about aligning and balancing out. So we've got the birds and the lilies. So this is something that is kind of a nice, refreshing thing here. So the birds, we're talking about talking, people are going to be talking about you, but in this case, it's going to be really positive. They're going to be talking about how wise you are. They're going to be talking about how you've got really good ideas, all of that kind of stuff. And it really feels like it goes well with the Ace of Sword coming through, just like these flashes of brilliance and being able to communicate really well. Some of you guys might be singers, I'm getting. So yeah, there's that too. There's also this like kind of deeper feeling of like really having an appreciation for how those words affect people. Okay, so that's another thing that's coming out. So let me go ahead and get a clarifying card or two. I'm gonna go ahead and ask for two on what is this waiting about. There we go. All right. So the waiting. Okay. So some of you guys are going to be just waiting on a person. Okay. Somebody's not being a little bit distant from you. And for some of you guys, it's going to come, this person's going to come through and communicate with you a little bit. But for those of you, for a lot of you, it's not going to happen this week. This person just needs to get their thoughts straight. They're kind of going through a lot of what you're going through right now. Okay, so that's what's going on with that. Some of you guys are just waiting for things to kind of pay off. This doesn't necessarily have to be with money, but it might be. But it's like you're just waiting for that stuff to come back to you. What you've put out into the world. That it's like okay, I've done what I need to do. When is it coming back to me? And so you're feeling that what you do have, because that hasn't come back yet, you're feeling like what you do have, you really have to hold on to, because there's an uncertainty out there. Okay, for those of you who are waiting for something like that, it might come at the end of the week, but most likely it's going to be coming next week. And so that's what this waiting is about here. I was just curious, so I wanted to ask some clarifying questions. So it doesn't look like the week's going to be all that great, but we've got a lot to work on, which is always a wonderful thing. And you have got some great, brilliant, like genius level ideas. Okay, guys. So I would definitely tell you to pursue them. Okay. Regardless of what the cards say, I hope you have a wonderful week. And I look forward to seeing you at the next reading. Hi, those of you who picked the Sunstone, here's your reading. We have Authority. Okay, Page of Swords. Wow, Justice, the Hermit. Big week, guys. Really, really big week. Wow, the Star, Broken Bridge, the Heart. Oh my goodness. And the Rider and Choice. So I don't get this a lot, but you guys are in a situation this week where you can really choose what kind of week you're going to have. There's just so much good stuff. One thing that I think can happen to some of you guys, which is why we're getting the Hermit here, is that you guys might be getting overwhelmed by and it's weird because I've gotten this in a different version in all three readings so far. Okay, you guys are the third, but you might be feeling a little bit overwhelmed right now about the demands other people are placing on you, and that might cause you to want to retreat and just kind of get more right with your own light, follow your own sense of what you're supposed to be doing. Definitely being true to yourself is really important right now. Okay. So if you don't feel like withdrawing, the Hermit's coming out to let you know that you've got to be really true to yourself. If you do feel like withdrawing, I'm getting that, you might be feeling that way, here and there this week, and that's definitely appropriate. Just make sure you're doing some self-care when you're doing that. Okay. Taking care of yourself. Okay. Rather than withdrawing to escape, if that makes sense. With Justice, we've got something working out in your favor this week. Okay. it could be something like with the authority here. It could be something as trivial as like maybe a parking ticket, or like some kind of ticket like that, you know, some kind of brush with you know, maybe police or something like that, but like a small one. Or it could just mean that you're able to get the upper hand. But it's like with this, it's like there's a question mark above it, okay? And it's going to end up balancing out and being in your favor. So that's the thing that's most important, okay? This authority, it's interesting because it's coming through as like, we need to get this done, we need to get this done. Kind of like maybe the way a boss might come through, or when you're suddenly feeling like really, really responsible and you're just knocking everything out, you know, you're just like, oh man, I'm just getting all of this stuff done. So this card is coming through with a like, I gotta get this done kind of energy, which is kind of a silly way of putting it, but it really is appropriate. So yeah, we're talking about that kind of stuff. We're also talking about like organizing and like controlling your environment. So you might want to be like cleaning house or something like that, you know, I mean, it could be something like that, but it's like you're working your will on the world right now too. Okay, so this Hermit energy might also be coming out to remind you to stay true to yourself, because if you're doing a lot of work with other people, sometimes, especially with those of us who are really, really empathic, we can kind of pick up on what other people want and try to please them. And of course, that can work in certain situations. It's totally fine. But it doesn't feel as authentic, you know? And I feel like right now you guys really want to be authentic. That's the impression I'm getting. Page of Swords here. We've got this kind of frustrating feeling of, it's like you've got a lot to say, but you can't figure out how to say it. You might want to practice conversations before you have them. You might want to write something down first, like pen to paper, write it down. Okay. So you have to really think about things, because people, you know, when you type a lot, especially if you type like me, you type really, really fast, and you can forget that kind of deliberate, like, what exactly do I want to say? So pen to paper can really, or pencil, can really help with that. So that might be something that you might want to do with this, like, communication stuff, because I'm just getting, you could have some communication issues. Star, we're talking about success. If you want to take on something new or do something like kind of small, but you want to make sure it's going to be a success, this week is the time to do it, because we've just got a lot of success surrounding you. We've got things turning out in your favor. We have you in a authority position, and I do feel like this represents you, not somebody else in your life, just so you know. So I feel like you have that power to bring about positive change in your life this week. You know, again, we talked about choices. With the broken bridge, you know, I'm just going to go ahead and say I'm not reading this the way that this card says for me to read it, okay? The card says, just because I want to be transparent, unsuccessful outcome to a problem. Now, I feel like this broken bridge is, you are really setting your boundaries this week so that people are not getting to that point where you have to cut them off. You're just kind of taking a break from them, or you're getting to a point where it's like, okay, I can't deal with this, you know, going on when I need to get this stuff done. And so this broken bridge is kind of representing either just cutting someone off completely because you've just had it and that's it, or just avoiding the need to do that, okay? So this is just talking about setting up and enforcing healthy boundaries. And remember, boundaries is about changing yourself, not changing the other person, okay? So a boundary isn't saying, don't call me after 8 o'clock. The boundary is not answering the phone after 8 o'clock. So instead of saying, you know, you don't do this, you don't call me after 8, you can say, I'm not answering the phone after 8. So if you do call, I'm just not going to be available that time. So it's about you changing your behavior rather than trying to change somebody else's behavior. Because sometimes boundaries are talked about, especially on the internet when a lot of misinformation can get out, as like saying, you know, kind of like saying, you don't do that, or you should respect me, or, you know, stuff like that, which is fine. I mean, if the person is reasonable and you can talk to them about that, that can be great. But boundaries really have to do with changing your own behavior. That's why it's so empowering and all of that great stuff. So kind of carry that away with you. And then talk about getting carried away. We have got some really steamy stuff coming up in your love life too. So we've got the heart, which represents love, and then we've got something fast, something like coming up, and it feels like there could be some really loving communication there, which would be awesome. But it feels like it's more like something really impassionate, you know, something that maybe I shouldn't talk about on YouTube, you know. So we've got very, very positive things in your love life as well. So you've got all the good stuff, you know. Might have a little bit of trouble communicating. Might need to kind of maybe avoid something, some kind of like a person, you know, broken Brittany. Like you don't want to have to cut somebody out of your life unless that's what you've got to do to be healthy. But it's just kind of talking about avoiding those really uncomfortable situations. But what's your week going to be like? You've got the choice this time. You can make that happen yourself. So have whatever week you want. And regardless of what the cards say, I hope it's a wonderful one. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I will see you at the next reading. Hi, those of you who picked the Desert Rose Stone, here is your reading. Oh, wow, we've got the Empress twice. Fertility, okay, that's how the Empress is depicted in this particular deck. And then we've got the Empress. We have two nines. Oh, no, we've got the 9 of Cups and the 10, of Wands. Okay, we've got Grapes. Okay, the Fox. Wow, we've got Key and Luck, and then we have Give Back. Okay, so fertility, the Empress, that really talks about abundance, okay? And some of you guys that picked this pile might actually not be feeling like you have a lot of abundance right now. But it's like, this is kind of almost like that rule of 3 or karma, or, you know, whatever you want to call it. What you put out, you get back to yourself. And so this giving back is like, if you want to attract, just fill in the blank, whatever you want to attract, then give that out, and you'll attract it back to you. I really feel like this is almost like a lesson in manifestation, that kind of stuff. But for those of you who kind of are like, I need things to be a little bit more solid, you know, give me a little bit more advice about this, Cassie. It's just talking about how you will feel a lot better, and other people will be helped if you give something of yourself, okay? And I'm not saying to give away your power, but give something of yourself to your community, to a child, to someone in need, to a friend. And it's like that will come back to you so much, and it will really fill you up. Sometimes people say, well, we can't love unless we know how to love ourselves, and all of that kind of stuff. That's a beautiful lesson, and that's a different lesson than what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is giving love so that you can fill yourself back up with love because you're giving love. And then that makes you feel like a loving person, that makes you feel closer to your own self. And then you're able to just keep, I'm getting this image of a cornucopia, a cauldron, the Holy Grail, that you drink from it, and it just keeps filling back up, and all of that kind of stuff with this Empress energy. So I really feel like you guys are creating a lot of positivity. We have the 9 of Cups, which is talking about like you're getting ready for something really important to happen that has to do with your social life. Not going to happen this week. It's going to happen next week. But and for those of you who aren't actively planning anything, it doesn't necessarily have to be a plan. It's just this feeling of like, ooh, something good's going to happen. And so I just really feel like we've got that going on. I'm also getting be wary of partying too hard. Yeah. That's just for some of you. I feel like we need to kind of put these together here, because I feel like with being able to be in this really abundant energy, we draw all of these things to us, and it's like we can't hold on to all of them. It's like it feels like, oh my goodness, this is a big burden, all of this. One thing I really like about the Ten of Wands, though, is that if you look at all of the pictures in order, you see it tells a story. And this guy, he's got all of his sticks here. I feel like I just disrespected the tarot. But he's got all of his wands here, okay? And he's about to go to town. We've got the town in the background. And he's about to share them with other people, right? This giving back. It's like you have all of this abundance to the point where it's like you want to give things away because you have so many things and all of that kind of stuff. So it's really, really positive. It might feel, it can be an abundance of energy or time, you know, that kind of stuff as well. It doesn't necessarily have to be a monetary thing or material thing, but I'm just have you in the energy of really attracting things that you desire. And a lot of synchronicity too, my goodness. Like you'll be thinking about something and then you'll see it like in a couple of minutes, that kind of thing. So yeah, keep that in mind. We also have luck. You know, luck also talks about coincidences and synchronicity and stuff like that. So that doesn't surprise me. But we've got the key first, okay? So what we have is the key. It opens up opportunities for us, okay? Sometimes it can also represent us finding like a missing piece to like an information puzzle that's going to just solve it and make everything make sense. For some of you, this might be that. But for most of you, what I'm getting is that you're going to be able to open an opportunity to be even more abundant than you were before this week. So it's like we've got abundance like so many times over. It's just really great. Now, so the grapes, this is the reason why I moved this. The grapes is talking about having some fun. You know, it does have to do with wine and all of that. And obviously he's got his cups here and everything. On the one hand, it can talk about that. But I feel like the grapes is talking more about this fertility. It's talking more about abundance and that kind of stuff. So keep that in mind as well. Yeah, it just feels like it's just such a positive energy this week for you guys, which is great. So the fox, you know, it's just talking about being, this would not be the week to take risks when it comes to finances or when it comes to business, at least. It's like whatever you do when it comes to, I'm just kind of collecting my thoughts because there's a lot coming in here that I've got to kind of sift through. Yeah, okay, here we go. It's more about in any area of your life you can take a risk, right? You can decide, oh, you know what, this is the week that I'm going to tell that person that I'm totally in love with them or whatever, right? And it's like the fox is coming up saying, well, wait, you've got to kind of either plan it out or be more shrewd about it. Like find the best time and make sure that if you're going to take a risk that it's a deliberate risk. You're aligned with what you want and that kind of stuff. Because this abundance here is like, it's almost like be careful what you wish for kind of thing, because it's like you've got to be really aligned with what you want, because doing things with a clear intention, setting that intention, and then meeting that goal is something that the fox is talking about here, okay? Not acting impulsively so much is basically what I'm getting. I don't actually get that you're going to be feeling particularly impulsive, but this is coming up for a reason, so keep that in mind, all right, guys? Very positive week, guys. Thank you so much for joining me for this reading. Hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you at our next reading. Hi, those of you who picked the crystal point, here is your reading. We've got, victory and success. That's awesome. You know what? Need to move that desert rose there. We're the crystal point. Yeah. Victory and success. The Two of Coins. We've got the King of Pentacles, the Queen of Swords, the Moon, coins. Okay. This is interesting. We've got the clouds and the sun. And negativity. Okay. I really feel like I'm just thinking about the imagery here. And it's like we have got this like cloudy energy that we've got like this burst of light coming through. And we've got this cloudy energy here, and then she's got her sword up. It's almost like her sword's just moving those clouds away. And then we've got this light here. We have the clouds here, and then we've got this burst of light over here, right? And then we have the moon, and we've got the clouds that are kind of like moving away with the light. And I'm going somewhere with that. I would imagine that you've been pretty confused and maybe even like foggy-headed, maybe some anxiety, maybe even some depression recently. And this is the week that things are going to start to get better. Okay, the sun's coming out. This is just showing that this is what's changing. Okay, the clouds aren't showing that you're going to be feeling more of that. The sun is coming out, letting us know that things are coming to light. Okay, certain things that maybe you were unclear about are that you were confused about are going to suddenly become a lot more clear. Okay, this is going to be the week for epiphanies, basically. You're feeling a lot more positive. You're noticing that you're being, you're gaining a lot more success in what you set out to do. We've got victory and success right here. You are going to be I feel like you're going to be successful with whatever you set out to do this week. So make certain that what you set out to do is something that you really want, that kind of thing. We do have you kind of struggling to make some decisions. We do still have some turbulent emotions in the background. This does come up sometimes when we're talking about long distance relationships. So I just want to say that, but that's not necessarily true for all of you. In fact, I'm actually getting that it's not true for most of you. So I don't know why I need to say that, but I guess for those of you who are having something, like maybe you're struggling to make a decision in a relationship, it's probably going to be a long distance relationship. That's basically what I'm saying. But we just have it feels more like it's kind of like you could go this way or that way, and neither way really has any major benefits, and neither way has any major negative aspects either. So it's kind of like you're kind of not feeling real excited about making a decision because the decision isn't really that important. It's really weird, but yet it's still causing some turbulence here. What I would tell you about this, especially with the sun's coming out and the light coming out and you feeling enlightened and and all of the different kinds of puns you can create with that, right? I really do feel like it's one of those situations where it's like, you just got to make a decision and that's it. I feel like this situation is kind of out of your hands, really. And so once you commit to what you're going to do about it, then you can just go on that path and it will self-correct if that's not the way it's supposed to go. I feel like there's a third option that maybe you're not even considering that will reveal itself to you later on. It might not even be this week, but just that's what I'm getting about this. With the King of Pentacles and the Queen of Swords here, I do feel like this week is going to be a week where you're really talking about your interpersonal relationships. It can also mean your relationships with yourself, okay? So we're talking about building up stability, being a lot more clear in what you want, and asking the people around you what they want, making certain that you're making those connections. You will be making very powerful connections this week too. So whatever you are doing when it comes to any kind of relationship, even if it's a business relationship, anything, or an acquaintance, for example, just know that your words, your actions are really affecting people this week. So make certain to, give a little bit extra, if you're out purchasing something, smile at the person who is, at the cash register, that kind of thing. Just make certain that you are spreading positivity, because you can be a very positive force in the world this week. Yeah, but I really feel like the main story for you guys this week is about just coming from a darker place to being in a situation where you're able to think so much more clear. So if you're feeling down, because it's like you're definitely very aware of the negatives going around right now. But if you're feeling down, just know that you have got a lot of positivity coming even this week, and that you can really step into that clarity, and it just feels so good, that it's almost like the negativity is nothing. But I realize that as you're watching this, you might be in that dark place now. So I don't want to invalidate that or dismiss it or make it sound like it's not that important, because it is. And of course, if you are in a place and you feel like you can't get out of it, it might be time to reach out to a professional. I'm a very big advocate of that. Okay. So, definitely, you can find ways to do that. But yeah, it's just showing you've got really solid friendships that you can be nurturing right now. Maybe even a romantic relationship is going to start getting better. Okay. And then we also have this Queen of Swords. I do feel, okay, this is something else that I just thought of. This week you might be feeling more in more masculine, more cerebral areas, like in your mind, rather than necessarily feeling in your heart. It's like in this picture, we've got this guy in the foreground, but in the background we've got the emotions, and they might be a little turbulent and everything, and you might have some turbulent emotions. Chances are, if you're coming out of this darkness, and of course you're going to be having some, but they're going to be like in the background more. It's like it's below the surface. What's above the surface and what you're able to really focus on is just this clarity and thought. And it actually feels really good. I don't feel like that's going to be a difficult thing for you. So yeah, we've got the moon. The moon's talking. The moon, it has all these phases and all of that kind of stuff. So it changes a lot and all of that kind of stuff. So typically the moon in this particular deck will represent change, but I do feel like it's like talking about intuition as well. Sometimes when we relegate those feelings to the back of our minds, or to the back of our consciousness is what I should say. It's like they can turn into intuitive impulses, or intuitive insights is probably a better word. And those intuitive insights can come to us and really help us be more successful. So definitely pay attention to the emotions and your intuition this week, but understand that it's not going to be really in the forefront, but that's appropriate this week for you guys. So coins, obviously, money, yeah, you've got some really good ideas about how to make money, and so really run with those ideas, because I feel like you can kind of be unstoppable right now when it comes to putting those financial ideas in order. And I'm just thinking about all the times that I see coins and I'm like, it doesn't necessarily have to be money. Well, in this case it is. We're talking about actual money here. We're talking about somehow you are able to multiply money right now, or you've got ideas that you can put in place to do that. So go after it. I really feel like it's a very auspicious time for you to do that. All right, guys. So, not a perfect reading, but it looks like things are getting better, and that's always good. Thank you guys so much for watching my video. I really appreciate it. Hope you liked it. If you did, you can always tell me in comments or by liking, all those good things. And I will see you in our next reading. Hi, those of you who picked the lavender candle. These smell really good. I just gotta say. I got them on Amazon and they were overpriced and everything, but they smell really good. Anyway, those of you who picked the lavender candle, here is your reading. We have, Suffering in Silence. Okay, we have Seven of Cups, the Moon. We have, okay, that makes sense then. The Six of Wands. Okay, we have the Vine. We've got Fire. Okay. We have the Home followed by the Storks. That's a stork. And then we have Reawaken. That's a beautiful word for this too. So, with fire especially, I just want to start out by saying this. We've got, the 4, sometimes 5 elements of earth, air, water, and fire, and then spirit can be sometimes a fifth one. In Druidry, and I'm a Druid, we always talk about the 3+1, right? So with the elements, if you're a Druid, they are often taught to mean you've got earth, water, and air plus fire, which when fire is applied to any of those 3 elements, it is a catalyst for change. Okay? So I feel like this fire is coming through because you're changing right now. There's a lot of things that are just, you're getting quote unquote fired up about things, but yes, but it's like, I just feel like you're the catalyst for change in your own life. And that's why there can be some kind of confusing things like suffering in silence and the Six of Swords, which, I'll get to. But it's like we're just talking about a lot of positive change. And sometimes fire can completely destroy something, but it destroys so other things can come back in its place, so you can rebuild. Similar to the tower, but we don't have a tower here, so we're not talking about anything that destructive. We're talking more about the positive aspects of fire and how they can really transform a situation. So keep that in mind. I like that. I'm going to get back to this, though, and give a different interpretation, but I really feel like this is kind of a key word for you guys. All right, so let's start with this one. Okay, so the Six of Swords, we've got some people moving away from something. You can't see, at least in the Rider-Waite, you can't see their faces. You don't really know what they're doing. We just know that they've gathered up their swords and they're going. This talks about wanting to leave some negative thinking patterns behind and moving forward with more positive thinking and with basically a new attitude. It's not necessarily goodbye forever. It's more like you're getting to a different level. It even kind of gives me the feeling that, maybe you'll be back to re-examine whatever might be something that you've been thinking negatively about recently. But for now, it's like there's some kind of, it even feels like a greater power that you're lifting that up to. That's taking care of it. Or you've just decided, you know what, I'm not going to worry about it anymore. And you're just moving to a better thinking space. So that's awesome. We've got a lot of different kinds of options to take here. Some of them are a little risky. Some of them have a lot of reward. I really feel like, and I just gotta say, in almost every single pile, I've gotten the same kind of energy. It's just come out in different ways. So this might be kind of a global thing or a collective thing that people are going through right now, but you might feel overwhelmed by the different options that you have. Just pick one, focus on that, because you will still have those other options in the weeks to come. Okay, they're not going anywhere. So keep that in mind. With the moon, we do have a lot of shadow work. We also have some, and that does change a lot of things, and it definitely gets you away from that negative thinking, because as you confront it, you can help it disappear because you're standing up to it. You're like, you know what, I'm not gonna deal with this anymore. let's look at it, let's examine it. You know what? It's actually not that scary. Let's move on, that kind of thing. So we do have some shadow work, but we also have a lot of really rich intuition. You are going to be like soaking in intuition. It's like so it's saturated. I think that was the word that I meant to say. But it's like you have got intuition going off like nobody's business. So in the suffering and silence, I feel like this is like compassion fatigue, right? It's almost like you've got so much insight into the world and how other people are feeling and how other people are reacting and all of this kind of stuff, that it's like you're feeling compassion fatigue, but you're also feeling compassion fatigue for yourself. It's an interesting kind of twist on this. It's not like, because I don't feel like you're going to be necessarily carrying around a whole lot of angst. So much as just facing some demons and just like kind of being like, gosh, it's really too bad that happened, but I'm a different person now. I no longer have to experience that anymore, or that happened then, but it's not happening now. Now I have more control, that kind of stuff. So it's almost like you're honoring that this happened, or you're honoring that people are suffering. And respecting that, while also knowing that you can rise above that suffering in a lot of areas, by going through this change, okay? With Reawaken, it's just like you're waking up to a new level of consciousness for yourself. It's interesting because it's not like this is a particularly... it's not like this is a particularly like eventful week as far as what I'm seeing. It's not particularly eventful. It's not particularly demanding when it comes to the outside world. It's not like you have to run around and get things done, anything like that. It's just a week where you are really doing some self-reflection, and it is really paying off for you. Very introverted feeling, but more so in an introspective way than necessarily in a kind of hiding out sort of way, right? And it's just it's almost calming in that there's a storm around you and you're right in the eye. And it's like you're just observing all of this stuff happen, but it's not touching you in any way. It's like that. It's a very mystical feeling, and because mysticism and this kind of emotional depth is both abstract, it's very difficult to put that to words for myself. Like it's difficult for me to communicate that, but I feel like you guys know what I'm talking about, because again, you're just in that intuitive space so much. It's just really, really beautiful, actually. I think it is, at least. The vine, it's just kind of letting you know, remember your senses, remember to seek out information, in the physical world, because you will be wrapped up in your head a lot. And so make certain that, you can go with your intuition, and that's great, but make sure that you're backing up your decisions so you're completely informed with, actual facts and data, that kind of stuff too. Because I'm just kind of getting that if you're not aware of the outside world and you're just going from this kind of this intuition that comes from like another world basically, or another realm, it's like you're walking in the dark in a way, because you're thinking with your intuition rather than with your senses, which if you study Carl Jung or analytical psychology, sensing and intuition are two polar opposites, and Jung talks about how you can enhance your intuition by balancing it with that sensation. So make certain that you are experiencing your senses as well, because it will actually enhance your intuition. It's really weird how those two things are connected, but yeah. So fire. This is something that is just kind of like, it's like we've got all of this really, really watery energy. Even the swords are watery, because we've got them in a boat. We've got the cups. We've got the moon, like just all this beautiful watery stuff, and then we've got fire. It's like, wow. So we also have this kind of I feel like some of your troubles might turn into anger, which you can take action on. Just think about all the wonderful things that have happened in the world because somebody got angry enough to do something about it, right? Especially in civil rights areas. But we also have this fiery, this fire is coming through with this really intense emotion, probably associated with love, with your love life, or your creative, like the fire of creativity. And it's like, it's coming through like, this is something that will almost feel like it's burning slowly inside of you through the week until near the end of the week you're going to really want to express that somehow. If this is a situation, I mean, sometimes it's really, really appropriate to express ourselves in a very dramatic, overstated ways to people because it's just the moment calls for it. But I'm also getting that if you want to feel in control of this, because I feel like you can control this as well, just make certain that you are participating in some kind of creative endeavor. For some reason, I'm getting like imagery of friendship bracelets. Like, so maybe you like to knit or work with string or something like that, or make jewelry or something like that. I don't know why I'm getting friendship bracelets. Really interpret that the way that you need to, because I'm even getting, it's like it's for most people too. It's not like one or two. It's like most of you guys are going to know what this means, which that doesn't make sense to me, but whatever. So I just feel like if you get into some kind of creative energy, that's a way to let out the steam, let's say, that fire and water combination will create, so that you don't feel so, I guess, pent up or built up, that kind of thing. But I do feel like this it really feels like a love situation. So keep in mind that you're going to be not only feeling the depth of your emotions and kind of getting out of that negative space in your head, and very, very clear when it comes to your intuition, but also that your emotions are going to start becoming inflamed as well. So, keep that in mind too. We have another thing that indicates change here, which are the storks. The storks talk about change a lot in the Lenormand. But with the house here, I'm wondering if you're relocating soon or if you're thinking about moving. The house can also talk about moving on from something intimate or something intimate changing, right? Because when I think about the house, I think about we let people into our home that we trust, okay? And it's like, it's almost like a sacred place to some people, and to most, I would imagine. And it's like who we let into that inner circle, like something about that is changing, or the house itself is changing. So keep that in mind. I'm actually not getting, it could be working from home. Like you're going to change the purpose of your house to maybe like working there, or maybe you're going to be redoing a room for something, that kind of thing. It's just, it has to do with like they're telling me it's a house change. So keep that in mind. It's really interesting how absolutely intuitive just being in the energy of this reading is for me. It's just, coming out with the weirdest things. But, it just looks good. It looks good, like transformative in a positive way, and really getting that insight and everything. The people that pick this pile, you guys are my kind of people, because I'm like, this is where I live. so yeah, it's really nice. I like this energy here. It feels very familiar. Yeah. So, regardless of what the cards say, I hope you have a really wonderful week. It looks like you're going to definitely have some major insight and some really interesting dynamics going on with your relationships too, or with in a love relationship especially. Thank you so much for watching to the end of the video. I really appreciate that. I hope you enjoyed it. And I will see you at our next reading.